Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Oh, we are excellent.
Well, I'm Taz. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So, Evan,
Matt.
Evan. Okay. I'm gonna start asking about the your new song. I listened to it yesterday. It was pretty good. I really liked it.
oh,
It was
thank you.
it was pretty different from a bunch of stuff that I heard. I was expecting for someone to sing, so I was just like waiting.
Yeah,
but I really liked it. I normally don't listen to stuff without vocals, but I really liked it. I listened to the whole
oh,
thing, so
thank
yeah.
you. Well, yeah, it was
So
like we're not an instrumental band by any
yeah,
means, but it's I don't know, sometimes we write something and it's just, oh, this is good as it is.
yeah.
So, it's just
So
about communicating the message, I guess.
so what kind of inspired you to create that?
Do you want to take this one?
No.
um, I think that song started. It was pretty simple. Like he listens to a lot of instrumental stuff like Godspeed You Black Emperor, and I think we all share like a love for other bands like Mogwai and even bands like Radiohead at times who can like really easily communicate without lyrics and get that intention. And so he came with this guitar riff and we just kind of in the classic way just started playing with it, and that song kind of evolved organically where it's kind of each of us as members of the group kind of listen to different music, come from a different place. And so we started with something really simple, that kind of guitar arpeggio. And then we each just kind of layered and layered and layered on top until it became like this full fleshed idea with kind of these little unique pieces in it. And that's, it just evolved really organically. And then when it was finished, or like when there was enough going on, we were like, oh, this is kind of effective without any words, without lyrics. Like the intention we wanted to get and that we were able to achieve eventually with the video, I think really effectively communicated kind of where we are, what our outlook is, and just let our instruments sing, I guess.
Great.
I think.
And do
Does
you have any?
that answer?
Yeah, that's a good answer. And do you
Thank
have
you.
any upcoming shows that you're gonna perform this at, or like what's going on with performances?
Yeah, so that song's really tough. That was one of the songs that we kind of used the studio as like an instrument where like it wasn't necessarily like we all sat down as five or six guys and like played something. Okay, let's go record this. It was more, it evolved through like recording. So now in the back end, when it comes to performance, it's like now we have to go and learn how to perform it effectively. And something like that, which I guess is kind of grand and cinematic, it's a tough translation. So we've tried it before at a couple smaller shows, but now we have kind of our big headline show in St. Catharines upcoming Friday, so May 15th, and that will be kind of our biggest performance of that piece yet. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Yeah. So on the show topic, it's May 15th at the Mate Cafe, hippest venue in St. Catharines, and uh, and yeah, we're very excited. There's a bunch of things going on with that show in terms of it being no cover, all ages, accessible is kind of the key word with that one. We really want to include everyone who wants to be a part of it. So we're very excited for that show.
Sounds great. And what's your set list like? Do you normally play like the same songs? Do you play any covers? Like, what do you guys do for that?
I'd say we've ever since we kind of like started playing as a band like a few years ago, we took like tried to like really approach it like we mostly want to play like original stuff where we want to write our own stuff. So like at the beginning we had like a couple Radiohead covers sprinkled in, but up till now it's like a rare occasion that we're gonna pull a cover out, and that's only if it's like I don't know. We really have like a strong idea for that because I think we approach our shows kind of conceptually and about like we try to create like a flow from like I don't know. I wouldn't know how to describe it, but
So it makes sense. It's not just like a string of songs. It's you can allow like the content to add to the experience.
Yeah,
right?
I think we really want people to walk away from the show with like a certain feeling or coming like out with a certain feeling, and sometimes you have to like start somewhere else to end up there, and I think that's how we kind of work through it. But yeah.
And do you have any favorite songs to perform?
Ooh.
uh,
I think we all have our favorite. I don't know. Like I said, kind of, it's weird because we each kind of, while we have like shared interests, we each come from a different place, and like the favorite music on our iPod is different for all five of us. And so I think there's something in our repertoire that like speaks to each of those, and I think we get excited for different things. That makes sense?
yeah.
Yeah. This one will be fun. Playing Soaring is a lot of fun because that's a really dramatic song. But there's a couple in our repertoire, like ones where we kind of like on the inside we call them gimmicks, but they're like little extra touches, like a drum solo or like extra theatrics with fog or something like that that really make those fun to play, like something to look forward to.
Yeah. And so, how long have you guys been playing together, and when did you meet?
Ooh. Do you want to tell an origin story?
I'll tell you, you'll probably have to like help me out at a certain point. So Evan and I are kind of like the founding members of our first group called Tiganda, which was like way back at the beginning of high school. So like
8 years.
8 years ago, I guess. Yeah. And we just kind of like we met at this like weird event at the beginning of high school where we went off to a camp and we both kind of like disliked it and we bonded over that. Then we came back and I played guitar, he played drums, so we just kind of started like hanging out and playing music together. Then eventually our current bassist, who was known as like the best guitarist in the school at that time, like we were like, hey, come play with us. And eventually we relegated him to like just like being the bass player down here because everyone thought he was better, but it was me.
Yeah.
And then you can do the Conrad. So that's like the first three chapters, and then there's
Yeah, and there's kind of just a process from there. Like, I don't know, like when you're in grade 9, you kind of like you listen to the things on the radio and stuff, and I think we kind of like we bonded over the fact that we listened to like Radiohead or like A Tribe Called Quest and things like that that are kind of more off the radar or not obscure by any means, but not necessarily what every kid in school is listening to. And along the way, we just kind of built our team. Like we connected to people over certain things, and so like people came and went, and we just like people who are willing to challenge themselves and look at doing something different, like and write cool things and really come to like a creative space. Those are the people we eventually became friends with, and since then, I guess it's just been a process of like getting to know like each other and ourselves and really continuing to mold a vision until where we are now, where we're ready for liftoff, I guess. in the like the most modest way.
Yeah. So, how would you describe your?
We'll throw in the rocket ship reference.
So, how would you describe your music style? Like, what makes you guys unique?
Well, I think something that feeds into our style is the fact that we try to do as basically as much of the process of like from writing to putting out something and everything that goes in between there. Like we try to do as much of that ourselves, meaning like we've kind of like set up our own little studio space. Yeah, well, this is it.
Welcome.
And I don't know. We were basically it's like we try to take every opportunity to like when we're writing something or when we're recording something to like challenge ourselves and like try to come up with new ideas that like we haven't heard, and that's kind of inspired by I guess like the artists that originally like showed us like things that we hadn't heard in the first place. So kind of want to like pass that along. So I'd say like our the thing that like probably most defines our style is like that we continually like change what we're doing, or we don't like try to box ourselves in, which might not make the most sense if you've only heard like our one instrumental track that's kind of like out. But I think once the rest of the album's out, it'll make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think we like things that have atmosphere.
Things that are exciting. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, we love like the rock and roll spirit, like the energy and like the balls of like something like a Led Zeppelin from back in the day, but then appreciate like the pop accessibility of like the Beatles, and love the attitude that like rappers like Kendrick Lamar bring. And it's just, like I said, like very diverse, and kind of like the intersection of that, I guess, is the stuff that we know how to play, which is like guitars and drums, but very much like exciting, trying to, yeah, I can't think of a good word, but we'll go with exciting.
Okay. So I have one more question, and it might be hard. If you could go back and give yourself advice for when you just started out, what would you tell yourself?
Really challenge yourself to do as much of whatever it is you're trying to do as like doing that yourself, rather than basically paying off other people to do it for you. Except unless you're like doing something that's like a really mundane task, like, you know, printing posters or something, then it's like, then it makes sense to go pay for that. But it's like, when you're starting off, you should really be trying to like focus on what's important to you, and like spend a lot of time talking with each other and figuring out what like the shared vision kind of is of the project, or like what you want to accomplish. Because once you can figure that out, then it's a lot, everything meshes a lot more easily from that point on. You can see like a lot of like local bands, I guess, that like are just kind of like a bunch of musicians who kind of come together and just like to play together, and that's cool. But I don't think that sustains itself over a long time, especially when you're going through like challenging situations, or once if you start losing money on certain things, then you need something to fall back on, that it's like, okay, this is like important to do whether or not we're going to be famous. So yeah,
I think that's the big point. It's like for us, the goal, like, and I don't think our goal was ever, or it is right now, is to like become Radiohead and get rich and like become rock stars. It's like more we enjoy doing it, and it's like a lens or a platform for us to like develop skills and like challenge ourselves and just like be people and grow. And through that, like, we've obviously gained like immense, like, I don't know, I think I've said growth already, but it's been just an amazing experience as like people, beyond like the fact that like we're a band. And I think our biggest thing is like, you look at our about section or our bio, and it doesn't say like we play rock and roll, blah, blah, blah. It says we're best friends who sit around and talk about the future. And that's like really what defines us, like more so than being a band as musicians. It's just about like being people and using like music as something as like an expressive sense, I guess. So the advice from that, I would say, is like, don't like aim to like make money, be a rock star, like challenge yourself, have fun with it, look to improve yourself and your outlook, and
try to do something different, because it's like when you're small, that's like the best opportunity to try to like define something different about yourself. I think it gets harder once you get into like a certain, like, I don't know. Yeah.
For sure. Like, if you want us to really indulge you, like you said, it's a deep question. The one thing, like one of our big like idols, Elon Musk, totally outside of music, but he says like, you can reason by analogy or reason by first principle. An analogy is when you build on what's been there before. So like, you can like play covers and play like power chord stuff and that dance and reinvent blues like for the 100th time. But it's like, that might not necessarily challenge yourself or be the best route to like what you want to do, versus you start from like the first principle, like, okay, what makes sense to us? Like what makes sense to me and like what I want to do? And you build up from there. And so in that sense, like make sure it's honest, and that process will make sure it's honest and tuned to you, not just you playing the game that like people have set out before you.
Okay, so we should, if we're making advice, we should sum this up into like bullet points because people don't take like like chunks of like speech as like advice. So
Okay.
what was it?
Challenge yourself.
Challenge yourself and do as much of it yourself as you can when you're small.
Don't start with the end in mind.
Yeah, figure out what's important to you and work your way up from there. And I felt like there's one more thing. I mean, be original and do something original because there's no point in kind of doing something that's unoriginal unless you just want to, I guess, get famous off of it.
Yeah.
That's it. But, yeah.
All right. Well, those are all the questions I had. Really nice meeting you guys, and hopefully I'll get to see you perform soon.
Yeah. We'll come play at a farm in Grimsby. Open field concert.
That should be great. All right. Well, have a great day, guys, and thank you again.
Yeah, no, thank you for the opportunity. Yeah. We look forward to seeing it.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
All the best.
You too.
See ya.